already on?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, we're not gonna hear ourselves at all?
I can give you headphones if you want.
Yeah!
Okay.
I don't want headphones. I do. Hello, everyone.
Is it recording?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast.
Sinvergüenza. No shame.
A little ASMR. Sinvergüenza.
Ooh.
Well, you have the nails. You can do that.
Are you still recording? Oh, shit. Damn. Okay.
Hey,
Hey,
everyone.
Welcome to the Sinvergüenza Podcast. Hi, my name is Fabiola Lopez. I am lead clinical hypnotherapist and trauma-informed coach. I am the youngest of 9. I am first-generation Mexican-American, originally born and raised in Los Angeles, raised in North Hollywood. I am a mother of 3, raising 3 second-generation Mexican-Americans.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ashley Lopez, first-gen Mexican-American, and also a first-gen college grad. Recently just got my master's, currently working on my licensure. Super excited for that, and right now I'm working as a medical social worker for a hospital in Hollywood. And I actually used to work at the same hospital as my aunt.
Shout out.
Super proud. And yes, I'm here. I'm super excited to share my experiences being a first gen going to school, college, especially all the way in New York. So I'm really excited to relate to so many of you guys and, share our stories without feeling shame.
Hi, everybody. My name's Diana. I grew up in North Hollywood, California, to immigrant parents. I'm a mom of 3. I work at a cosmetic dental office. I'm a fitness enthusiast, and I am also a self-taught baker, and currently working on becoming a certified trauma recovery coach.
Woo!
Love that.
And we're here just to share our experience, to empower any first gens to become their best self.
And ultimately just have a conversation like we're just amigas talking at the table, out of our experiences, relating and knowing that like we're not alone and we've all been through maybe similar experiences, because we all know that sharing similar things makes us feel a little more comfortable, like we're not alone.
And connected.
Correct. Yeah, and we feel like that obviously is super important. And I think what makes it super awesome is that I'm here, we're all first gen, but this is my aunt's friend that I've known also since I was super young, and that we're from obviously different age ranges, but we all still have the same experiences. This is my dad's little sister.
Yes.
And my dad grew up in Mexico. He was an immigrant. And my dad's little sister grew up here in Los Angeles in the Valley.
Correct. I am
So
first generation.
Yeah.
So amazing, a lot of amazing stories to share. A lot of struggles too, because when you grow up with parents that are immigrants, they kind of don't understand the Western culture and how Americanized you become, even though your whole house is, everybody speaks Spanish, but your first language tends to be English, or I have an easier time actually expressing myself or talking about certain feelings or emotions in English than I would in Spanish. But the older I get, the easier it becomes. So it's very interesting because I thought growing up the way that I did was normal, right? With the cleaning and the cooking and the washing. When I was like 11, I would wash everybody's clothes. I would cook.
At what age do you remember that?
I think I was about 11 when I started cooking.
11?
Yeah, and washing. I remember my mom would make me wash my brother's clothes, and included was her dad. His clothes. I had to wash his clothes.
Oh my goodness.
My siblings are much older than me, so there was a huge age gap, but we all grew up very close though.
And a lot of your siblings too, even though they were born in Mexico, they speak very well English.
Yeah.
Like my father as well speaks very
Everybody speaks English. Everybody came here when they were either 8, 9, 10 years old, except my 3 older brothers who actually came here before any of us, and they came here to work and save money to bring the rest of us over. So it was my father and my 3 older brothers who actually saved up money and were able to bring all my siblings over here from Zacatecas. My family's originally from Zacatecas, Mexico. Our town is Tepechiclan. Shout out. And you know, I obviously, like I said, I came after, but I got the opportunity to be born here because my siblings worked so hard to bring us here, and for that I will always be grateful.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Exact same story as me and my parents and my parents and their siblings. Exact same story. Everyone worked really hard to try to get the next generation over and be successful and live this American life that people in Mexico only dream of. And this is like the promised land. So yeah, similar story, completely similar story. Exact, identical almost.
And you and because you have brothers, right? They were born here. All of you guys were born
all
here,
born
right?
here, yeah. So our experience was completely different.
Completely different than
your parents.
obviously from Fabi's.
Right.
So I feel like you and I probably relate a little more because I only have one brother, and he grew up here.
Yeah.
We were both born and raised here in the States. So, and 2 parents who weren't born here.
Yeah, exactly. 2 different ideologies completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do remember, though, when we were younger, Diana, and we wanted to go out, right? Diana had to cook food for everyone.
I had to cook, clean. The house had to be spotless, which is funny because my parents had their own construction business, so we were very much so Americanized. My father, my mother, they both kind of had a sort of culture shock, but my dad hustled his way, built his own business, had a ton of employees, but still the tradition, the culture stayed the same. I cooked, I cleaned, I had to cook and I had to clean before I went out. The house had to be spick and span before everyone came home. It was just part of life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
For me, it was a little bit different because I did have to do all that. But my mom, I would be cleaning all day, and all of a sudden she would say, "Oh, okay, you can't go anymore." It was so bad. Like, I would get up, I would clean the bathroom. The bathroom was the worst. The bathroom, the rooms, the living room. And then I'd be like, "Okay, Ama, ¿puedo ir?" And she'd be like, "No, ya es bien tarde." And I could not go. Or if I went out a night before, I could not
That's enough
go
for
out.
a month.
Yes,
That's
that was
enough
it.
for a whole month.
Yeah, we
that
were
was
not
it.
allowed to be out.
Callejera,
No
why are you
way.
going out?
And had to be home by 10. The older we got, the earlier we had to be home. I know.
And
it
for
was that
me, it's the complete opposite. I don't make dinner. I never make dinner for anyone. I didn't clean no one's
Yeah, because I
chonies.
feel like you're growing up second generation,
Yeah.
even though you're first generation. Like your dad,
Yeah.
I want to tell you, your dad was like 11 when we got here. From
Yeah, I feel like with
Zacatecas.
my parents, even though they were born in Mexico, I feel like they're first gen and I'm second. Because my parents, to an extent, they're super
Americanized,
westernized as well and Americanized. But also, you know, my dad, he has his little
moments.
He
Well,
has
I
his
think that
moments, definitely.
traditionally, I think for first generations, our tradition still lives very much within us. So, you know, everything's like, persínate, acomídate a Dios, and, you know, no hagas eso que Dios te va a castigar. Even though I know that that's wrong and it's not proper, I can't help it. Sometimes I'll catch myself and then I'll be like, just kidding, guys, that's not true. God is love. You know, God loves everyone. He's not going to punish you, you know, but we tend to take that, our traditions or whatever was modeled to us in our home, into our homes now as an adult. And sometimes it kind of goes through to our kids.
I definitely see that with my dad. Like with certain things, I know I can see and tell that he doesn't agree with it, but there's still something about the situation, whatever it is, that has him second guessing himself. Like, am I doing something wrong? But there isn't anything bad, like in making that decision or choice. Very, very interesting. And speaking on that subject, because both of you guys have children, so how are you guys raising your kids and teaching them certain things with how you guys were raised? Are you Do you feel like
we battle with that a lot.
Yeah.
The back talk,
Yeah.
the letting them express themselves. Like that is a big no-no for us.
With my kids, it's really important that they express themselves, right? Like they say, Mom, you know, maybe you're lashing out, like what's going on? Or maybe don't talk to me that way, right? Or that's not nice what you're doing. But in my brain, that's talk back. Even though I encourage, you know, talking about your feelings, and I'm very open about it, and I'm very compassionate and empathetic and sympathetic. But for some reason, I've noticed that if I'm upset about something and I'm either having a conversation with them about whatever it may be, if they talk back, and it could be something as simple as, I'll give you an example. The other day, I told my daughter that the ice cream was in the refrigerator. I meant to say the freezer. It's ice cream. Obviously, it's going to be in the freezer. And I said it was in the refrigerator. So she goes into the refrigerator, and she comes back to my bedroom, and she's like, Mom, it's not in the refrigerator. I'm like, yes, it is. You just want the ice cream to say, hi, you know, I'm here. And she's like, no. And I go, I told you it's in the freezer. And she's like, you didn't say that. You don't say that. Sometimes you say the wrong thing, right? And I'm like, I don't say the wrong thing. And I'm like, don't talk back to me. But in all honesty, it was not talk back. You know, she was actually stating the truth. I told her that
and
it was
she's
in the refrigerator.
young, and you know how little kids are. Like,
Yeah.
even though you said it wrong and they know what you meant, they still like to, but you said it, you know.
But also my kids are very vocal about everything because I give them permission to.
Vocal.
Yeah, but I also give them permission to be very opinionated, right? Because they need to know that not just because I'm an adult, I always know what
that
is
you're in
right,
the right, you know everything.
right? They need to know that I'm human and I make mistakes. So when they're around another adult that maybe their behavior or demeanor is kind of weird or suspect, right? They can question that. You know, the problem is traditionally that wasn't allowed in my home growing up. So when my kids do it, and maybe I'm not, you know, at 100 the way that I normally would, I do recognize that I get upset, and then I have to go apologize.
Maybe those feelings also you're feeling upset. Probably sometimes too there's like just feeling uncomfortable because that's not where you grew up. Because I know sometimes when it comes to feelings, and I know like it makes me upset, but it's like I just feel uncomfortable because growing up it was like we didn't talk about any of this, and if you wanted to, it was shame.
Absolutely.
Because they will make you feel bad about it. Like, oh, my feelings are hurt. Go and clean.
Or my mom's favorite thing is she would say, why are you crying? Your mom and your dad are alive. What's the big deal? You got food on the table? Yeah.
And that's normal for anyone else. But for us, it's a huge deal, right? Because we're not allowed to talk back. You just be quiet. You listen. You're reprimanded. You don't talk back. You do what you're supposed to do, what you're told. And I think the issue is that we're trying to raise our kids to speak how they feel, whether they're upset, happy, mad,
without
or sad,
shame.
Without
shame. And because we were not allowed to express ourselves. If we asked to do something and we weren't allowed to do it, you don't express yourself. You know, you don't say, hey, that's not right. No, it's shut up, be quiet, listen, go to your room, call it a night. Whatever feelings you have, we don't care. You're listening to your parents.
Yeah, we'll never talk about it.
And it's so important to teach our kids to advocate for themselves. If they want something, they have to speak up, right? And I think growing up, we were conditioned not to speak up, not only because we were females, right?
Especially being a female.
Yes, it was very hard.
Specifically for us, a Mexican household.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was hard in the workforce. I know when I started working, and it was like the real world, dealing with, the real world and just people and working, that was really hard for me to speak up. Like, I could not speak up. Whatever someone told me to do, I would just do it. I wouldn't question it. Because I'm taught to respect my elders, and I'm taught to just do as I'm told. And sometimes that kind of doesn't really work for us, right?
Well, we have two things against us. We're women in sometimes male-dominated fields, and we're women of color and minorities in these fields. So sometimes a lot of people can relate. We feel uncomfortable. We don't want to make anyone upset. We just in general just feel uncomfortable that we don't even want to start any issues or speak up at all.
And we're just respectful,
which is very normal.
Right? We're always taught to be respectful to anyone, everyone, and anyone. Doctors, anyone you come across.
I think I'm kind of like
respectful.
For me, yeah, I've known that like growing up, you have to be respectful to certain people. But I think with me having 2 degrees and being in the field, it's different for me. Yeah. I'm not scared of any. I don't care what position you have, what you do. You could be the president. Yeah. But it's all about respect at the end of the day.
Yeah. Right.
That's what it is.
For me, I feel the same thing. So the first half of my career was all around surgeons, which is male dominated. Never been afraid to speak up, to say no, to be like, that's not okay, to question, right? I did find proper ways to ask so that way they don't feel like I was challenging them, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm going to be stuck with them for 8 hours, right? Depending on what surgery we're doing. You have to be
very careful,
right?
Very careful with
I
your
would
words.
say I would usually ask a question, and then right after I would ask it, I would say, I want you to explain so I could understand. And they were super receptive to that. They were like, oh, okay, this and this, you know? So I think I was conditioned not to question and not to advocate for myself.
Same.
But as I got older and started being around extremely highly educated people and almost felt like I was on their level, because when it came down to a surgery that we were doing and, you know, things happen, right? I was there to like anticipate the needs, to know what they wanted, to give suggestions, right? And it's definitely a very intimate setting, right? So I felt very comfortable, you know, questioning things or saying that doesn't work, or let's try this, or that's not working, call for help, or let's call for this, you know?
Wait, but that took you a while. It had to.
I don't know.
You were really young when you started.
I started very young. That's very true. I started very young. But if you ask any of my coworkers, they'll tell you she's always been super opinionated.
Well, that's true, because we have family home videos where she pops up and she's taking over the camera.
No,
she's the
that's
queen
just
of the
her
world.
Personality, though,
yeah, like
right?
very, very strong
Yeah.
Gemini thing. We're both Geminis, by the way.
Yeah, because I think the way that I saw myself, which is very interesting, because not too long ago we had this conversation where I would say, you know what? I've always been very quiet and very timid. And they're like, what?
I say that about myself too, and people
They're
are like,
hell
"Girl,
no."
I can't even
that's
do
how
that.
I describe myself. I think
Yeah.
I'm very shy.
Me too.
I think I'm shy.
I don't talk. But everybody is like,
I think because I just
absolutely
read the
not.
room. I'm trying to read the room.
Right, okay,
And
I
I'm
get
all
that.
about the energy. I could tell, like, if it's someone that I could just 100% be myself with, or I kind of have to fake the funk and, like, tip my toes around them because they're already giving the vibes that. And then those people always end up proving me right. They're funny.
Well, for me, it's different. I walk in as myself, no matter what setting. I do read the room, and that's probably my trauma, okay? I can read the room. I know what the vibe is. I don't necessarily act accordingly. Like, if the vibe is not good, you know, I will walk in as myself. I don't like to mess with anyone. I won't start problems, but I will 100% show up as myself. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm myself.
I don't think it's either. It's, you know, it's just who you are. There's no, it's not being good or bad. It's just being true to yourself, which is at the end of the day very important. Very, very important.
Yeah.
But going back, when we were talking before we got into like the work field and all of that, when we were talking about traditions and like family, I started dating later in life. So I remember there was this one family party where I bought my ex-boyfriend, my ex-partner. Everyone's eating, so we're gonna go serve ourselves. And one of my aunts comes up to me and she's like, "Are you gonna serve him?"
Yeah.
And
That's
I
part
was
of
like,
it.
I hope he did not hear this, because what? He got 2 little hands. He could serve himself.
Wow.
In my head, I said that, but it's my aunt, so I'm not going to say it's one of her older sisters. And I was like, I told her, like, nicely, I was like, I don't think he's hungry right now. And when he gets hungry,
He'll get it himself.
he'll be fine. And she went running to make him his plate and hand it to him with napkins, with tortilla, with everything. And I'm like,
This is what I'm talking about. Like,
Yeah.
traditionally, first generation, which is myself, I'm very, like, traditional that way.
Same.
cooking, cleaning, serving, you know,
Oh,
not
you're
anymore.
like that, like serving someone
Yeah,
you're
not
dating?
anymore. Now that I'm like older, you know, it's a lot different. I have someone that cleans my house. I don't clean, but I don't.
We love that.
I don't
Working
even, like,
queen, she
fold.
busy.
I love that.
She
I love
busy.
having
Yeah.
to serve my man his
Yes,
plate.
she's
And
a
that's
little more
fine.
traditional
And that's
than
fine
me.
because-
But that's personal preference. Nothing
Personal
to do,
preference.
But
I-
we were brought up to serve your husband, serve your
Absolutely.
I think it
partner.
depends too, because there has been some times where I'm dating someone and it's like, you're so kind. You make like that energy want to come out of me. But there's some guys I'm
Yeah.
like, you got hands, boy. Go. But
No,
other
I-
guys are
I
like, I
love
want to serve you, but not all the time.
Yeah.
Not all the time. For sure, no. Sometimes you're going to serve me too.
Yeah. I think that when we're with my family, I will do the serving, and if we're with their family, they can serve me.
And you know what's crazy? Because my dad, like, he needs my mom to serve him. He needs to, or he will die. And then I talk to him about it. And I'll be like, Dad, would you want a guy? We've had these conversations like several times. Many, many, many times. Like, would you want a guy to be like, mujer, you got to serve me? Or like, you know, just be like that. He's like, oh, hell no, Ashley, I will fuck him up. I will beat him up.
So to you, it's not okay.
Yeah.
But
So I'm
for
like,
him,
that's super
yeah.
crazy. And he tells me too. He's like, we grew up in different times. It's
Yeah.
different, Ashley.
Yeah. No, they really did, because her dad is kind of has taken on like my dad role. I don't think he wanted to, but it kind of panned out that way. And he is so wonderful and so supportive and so encouraging, and he's just a wonderful man. I have no idea what I would do without my brother.
Yeah. Great. Great person. Oh, we're not going to make this a
Yeah.
rhyme, but yeah, very great person.
Growing up, our immigrant parents thought that by having us here, life was made.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
We didn't need encouragement.
knew everything.
We didn't need anyone to tell us, hey, did you do your homework? Did you study? When's your test? When do we graduate? Where are college applications? No, they just assumed that because we're here, we grew up in the United States, that life was made. And it was nothing like that. You still need direction. You still need someone to
Totally.
push you. Did your parents push you, or did you kind of just like direct yourself towards?
So that is like, I feel like we could make a whole other episode for this, but I remember, at least from my earliest memories, are like fourth, when it comes to like school, and my parents' influence on my education was like probably like what I remember the earliest was fourth grade to about eighth grade, because once I got into high school, I just did everything on my own with them nagging me because I already knew.
You did?
But from fourth to eighth, they were very, very strict. That was the time, I don't know if you remember, when my dad opened up the Mariscos restaurant in Hollywood.
Oh, that's right.
And then he opened up a hair salon also in North Hollywood. So my parents were so busy. And I remember they would take us to the back of the establishments, me and my brother. And my dad's biggest thing was math. He was be like 7 times 7, 900 times this. And if we didn't get it right, ooh,
My dad was like that
unos
too.
chingadazos.
Yeah, not for me. I was like liberal.
It was really, really,
Yeah, for
really
me, like
bad.
my parents were, I want to tell you, like the grandparents, and my siblings ended up being
the parent.
my parents. One of my sisters actually was a big part of me going to school after high school.
Who
right?
would take you to school? Who would drop you off
Oh,
and pick you up?
Grandpa. my
Yeah,
dad.
because I would write
Yeah.
with her.
Oh, he would drop you
Yeah.
off and pick you
Yeah,
up?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
He did
wow.
that for me, but he didn't do that for the rest of them. They had to walk home and walk to school, from what I remember. But I have one sister who actually was like, Fabi, you have to take a shower every single day. I remember being like 10, and I was like, you do? And she's like, yes. And I remember, because there's a big age gap between my siblings and I. And then she would be like, you also have to change your underwear every day. I'm like, you do? And she was like, yes. So I was about 10, and I remember she would go to Target and buy me underwear and make sure I would shower, and would always be like, you have to go to school.
Because your mom never talked to you about that.
No, it was very random. My parents are also much older.
Yeah.
So they're much, much
Very,
older.
very different times. that
But
they
my
grew up.
sister would always say, because actually she was the first one in our family who graduated high school, right? The first one. And I remember she would just say, Favi, you have to go to college. Like, you have to. It's not negotiable. And I'd be like, well, how do I do that? And she'd be like, I don't know, but you got to. I mean, obviously,
figure it out.
yeah, obviously I did, but like, it was just, it was just her influence, like constantly, you have to do this and you have to do that, and don't forget to do that, and you know that I will always be grateful. She will always hold such a special place because she was also like my mother.
Yeah.
Her Ashley's dad isn't now, like I said, he took on the role of my father, but which I'm so grateful for. But my sister took that role on, I think, when I must have been like maybe 9.
And there's a lot of people with so many siblings that take on that role of being a mother, being a caretaker, teaching them things.
Parentifying.
You know, it's also stealing their childhood because you're not just allowing them to just be a child.
Right.
But they're worrying about their sibling, their loved one that they care about.
And they want them to do better, you know, better than what they
because I remember those were most of our encouraging conversations, like, you have to be better than me. You know, you have to do well. And actually, when I have conversations with Ashley,
she tells me the same thing.
I tell her the same thing. You have to be better than me.
Always tells me, you have to be better than me. You have to.
Absolutely.
And I'm a 33, right?
Yeah. And she's going to be better than me, you know.
Oh, thank you.
And these are emotional conversations that our parents never had, right? These are conversations that we wished our parents had with us. But because we lack that, and we see that in our friends, you know, maybe our Caucasian friends that hear that their parents are very supportive. Our parents were not supportive in that way. Not verbally. They worked hard. They worked hard. For them, it was enough to provide for you.
If they're providing for you, putting money,
showing affection was working, giving you what you know, providing you with food, clothes, etc., whatever. But emotional. Where did we get that from?
With emotional, I would say it's like to an extent. I feel like with my dad, he wouldn't beat me up like all the time. I had to like, if I didn't get good grades, I would get like a little bow bow. And I remember even though when he would do that and I would cry in the little corner and be so sad, he would always apologize, which I appreciate, and be like, I just acted out of character because that's how I was raised. And sometimes I remember I would not want to open my door because I would be so angry and I would fall asleep crying because I would be like, why did he get that upset with me that he had to like touch me like and put his hands on me? Like, it's not like, let's just talk about it. And then I would wake up the next day because I wouldn't want to open my door to a letter under my door, and he would write me a letter just saying that he was so sorry and that he knew he let his emotions get the best of him because that's how he was raised, and he didn't know better, but he's trying to do better.
Well, in his defense, my mom used to whoop our ass. I mean,
I've heard stories.
I mean, let me tell you, I was grown well into my mid-20s, 30s, and she used to whoop my ass. I mean, literally, like, bang my head on the wall, like, punch me like we're at a bar, and we were in her kitchen, you know? It was
that's not funny.
It's really not that funny.
I mean, no, but I mean, what do you want me to do? Cry? No. No, and you know, surprisingly, that's why I raised my kids completely different. Also, an issue is in my family, nobody knows how to communicate or express their emotions.
It's a sign of weakness in our culture.
Totally. And I think that...
And also feeling uncomfortable, because I've noticed there's some times where I want to say something, how I'm feeling. Like if I'm feeling sad, I just want to express my feelings to someone. And I feel like something, like the demonio's trying to get to me, like, don't say it. Because I just feel so uncomfortable, like I'm doing something bad. But it's like I didn't have, like, you know, sitting down like, hey, are you having a good day today or a bad day?
Oh, no.
Well, why? No, I didn't have any of that. So I'm like, I don't know how to express that.
No, I think the more work that you're going to do, I do a lot of one-on-one. So I think that for me, I actually, all I do is one-on-one. For me, it has really enhanced my communication skills.
Because it's also self-reflection as well.
100%.
Because some of the clients you see, you can also relate to and learn from them.
Right. Whatever you've been through is what you generally tend to attract, which is why my niche is childhood trauma, healing the inner child. Everybody will come in and we're, you know, healing the inner child is what we're doing. And it's deep-rooted work. And I've had to do a ton of work on myself, just on the little bit that you've heard about my mom. I still love my mother very much because I do realize that she is human, right? She makes mistakes. She's parenting the way she was taught. My mother has a 3rd grade education, you know. She tried to do the best that she could. And no, I am not excusing her behavior, because in order for my mother to be in my life, there has to be clear boundaries and they have to be respected. And it's not that I'm going to be mean or rude or disrespectful. They're just very clear boundaries. And through time, she's learned how to respect them, because there's a consequence. You don't respect my boundary, I walk away without being angry. And she's learned that it's important to respect my needs.
Mm-hmm. And that has to be hard for her, too, because she didn't grow up in that way.
Absolutely.
It's probably
not.
just like
The
a roller coaster
complete
ride for her. Like,
she
what
was
is
so
going
hurt.
on?
Yeah, she's like, what? Boundaries? No. Like,
No, she would say,
What
yo soy la madre.
Yeah.
Aquí se hace lo que yo digo.
yeah.
And I'd be like, okay, that's super outdated, ma'am. You know?
Ta-ta, sweetie.
Yeah.
Did you forget I support myself?
Yeah.
We're not under your roof anymore. So it was very hard. I think we went through a little rough patch for like 2 years. And where I would come into her life and I would try to reestablish connection because she's my mother. And then as soon as she would not respect boundaries or not listen to my needs or try to do like manipulative things, because it's what she was taught, then I would, you know, very respectfully be like, can't talk to you because of XYZ. And then I would leave again. I would leave again. And then I would try once again until we got it right.
No, I feel like with my parents, growing up, I don't know, that was years ago. Don't really remember that much. But now, like my parents, I think they're doing how, compared to how they were raised and what they went through, doing such a great job. Like my dad always will call me or text me like, have a good day at work, love you.
Yeah.
Or he'll be like, how was your day at work? How, like, you know, asking me like super personal, not personal questions, but like, you know, just wanting to know how I'm feeling about my days. And which I think is obviously very, very nice. And then my brother too, he'll be like, how was your day? What you do? Oh, well, like, tell me more.
Aw.
Yeah, which I think is like super, super nice. And I know they didn't have that when they were growing up. So I love that they're doing that with me. And also I'm like the best thing that's ever happened to my dad ever. So I know he's obsessed with me. So he always just wants to make me happy. And they love me so much. I know they're super proud of me. So maybe that plays a role in it too. Like I want to see how my daughter's doing.
Her dad also will call me and we'll have a conversation. He's super encouraging, like I said before.
Yeah, I hear
And
he'll
then-
be like, love you.
Yeah, and then we like get it. We're about to hang up and he's like, I love you, Fabi. And I'm like, I love you too. So I think he's just gotten to that age where he understands that it's better to show your affection now that we have time and space versus when we don't.
Are you like that with your siblings,
You
Diana?
know, it's funny listening to your guys' experience because I feel like I thought I had it bad as a first generation Mexican American, but I feel like your dad had it the worst because he came into the country with these Mexican ideologies. You're this way and that's the way it is. You're
Very
the
black
man.
and white.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then to have to assimilate and completely change your entire character. I'm sure things changed once he had you. But to have to completely change your personality, your ideologies that you come into the country with, to kind of not satisfy you, but to kind of be a softer version of what he's
what
not
he
used
thought-
to.
yeah, what he thought he
That had
was,
to
yeah.
have been difficult.
Oh, I bet. I remember he told me, and also my dad's brown. He's a brown man. When they came here, they lived in Burbank.
Serious?
My dad is very brown. And he
And
would
at the
tell
time,
me
it was all
white
Caucasians.
people. Yes,
Yeah.
all white people. And he would tell me that, you know, they would make fun of him. He had to wear the same pair of shoes to school. And that it was just a horrible experience for him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, for you still to be like such a kind soul right now and have gone through like all of that and being so young, I feel like I would hate if at that time, like, you know, just like hate the world and be angry.
Yeah.
Actually, when they got here from Zacatecas, they lived in East LA for less
I did
than
not know
a
that
month.
at all.
And my mom at the time with her 8 kids looks at my dad and she's like, absolutely not. You take me where the white people are,
Yep.
where the colored people are,
So they
the
went to
colored
Florence.
eyes, right? And my dad was like, what?
Yeah.
We're with our people. And she was like, yeah, I didn't come from Mexico to be here, so you need to take us. So I remember my dad saved up, well, not I remember from the stories that I've heard, he saved up and they got a 1-bedroom with 8 kids
Yeah.
in Burbank.
My dad, sometimes when we go eat around the neighborhood, because Don Cuco's is there, the Mexican restaurant, his favorite, he'll always be like, we're going to pass by down Florence. And he's like, oh, when we were young, we would be here doing this. And my dad has all the videos when they were younger. They'll be in like there was an alley, right? Oh, you weren't there. You
I
moved
was
into when it was
very little.
Clybourne?
I was very little. I think I was like maybe 1 or 2 years
Oh,
old.
yeah, so you don't
like
remember
there,
anything.
I don't have any memories.
But yeah, he tells me that it was just...
But also, I went to school in Burbank, so I remember just my friendships. But we no longer lived there. We had moved already.
And then also to go to school in Burbank, you need the zip code where you can go to school there.
Yeah. No, they're very strict.
Very, very strict. So after that, my dad didn't even end up graduating. I think he had just a few months left, but he's like, time to get to work.
Yeah, time to get
Yeah,
a
he
job.
had to go to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's so funny now that you're saying, you know, that your mom like demanded that you guys move to a better area. That reminds me of my grandma. So, you know, most Mexican women are submissive, right? But it sounds like although they were submissive, they kind of ran the house.
Absolutely.
Yo, yeah.
Right? Because
Absolutely.
my grandma came over with who was it? I think it was like two of my uncles.
For your mom's side or your dad's?
My dad's side. And she was very much so, okay, everyone's going to work. You're going to bring me home the check. We're going to buy a house. And that's what we're going to do. This woman was uneducated, had no education whatsoever, from the poorest part of Michoacan, but came here with a goal, with aspirations to have her own house. And that's exactly what she did. You know, she would just collect everyone's checks. They bought themselves, or they helped her buy a home in, Sun Valley. And very self-sufficient, strong woman, right? Can't even read, can't speak English, can't read nothing, not even Spanish, nothing. But literally built an entire life for herself and for her kids, which is crazy. Like, I can't even imagine how she did that at the time.
I can't either.
Like,
That's awesome.
nuts.
And also, I think that just makes me think about how there's a lot of Latina women that are stay-at-home moms that, you know, their man supports them, but they run the household so well. They pay the bills. They take their kids to certain schools. They make sure their kids are very well off, educated. They're getting this, they're getting that. Even though they don't have the education, they're making sure everything is happening. Everything is happening, which I think is awesome. Because I remember when my mom was a stay-at-home mom for majority of my life, but at one point she was trying to run the hair salon with my dad. But she was like, okay, you guys are going to do this. You guys are going to do that. You're going to come on. You guys are applying for this school. The science fair happened. She was like, Ashley, you're doing this. I'm going to go get the boards. I'm going to design. I ended up winning best display board.
Yay.
Thanks to her. It actually goes to her, not me, because she did it all for me. Yeah. But, you know, they have no education or hardly any education, but they have a goal. And they're like, I came here for a reason, and I'm going to make that happen one way or another.
Absolutely.
Which is awesome. Which is really, really dope. So I feel like...
I think that's where, like, the hard work in our culture, it's really embedded.
The work ethic
is
everything.
It's everything. It is everything. Because if there's one thing that we know how to do is work hard. Yeah. You know?
Right.
Literally make something out of nothing. Which I'm so grateful for.
Yeah.
You know? Because that's not taught. No matter how smart you are, if your work ethic is not on point, you'll never, ever be or have the things that you want.
And no one ever taught us that. I think we just observed.
Absolutely.
It was modeled. Morning to night.
And I think it's part of our culture, too. Like, who we are and, like, just our character. Like, it kind of just comes naturally.
Yeah.
To an extent, because there were some people that don't really got it. Because you need to have a certain character if you want to survive in the work field, in the workforce. Because there's some people that I'm on the same level. We're in the same level, but we have different experiences because of our characters.
Mm-hmm.
So we just wanted to take a little bit of time just to let everyone know that if you're watching us right now, we really appreciate you. We're so happy. This is our first podcast and
first episode.
Very, very grateful.
Yeah. And our mission is obviously to empower first gens and
have conversations.
Yeah.
You're not alone.
And share our stories of resilience,
Definitely
of
share
how
stories of resilience. We're not alone. And we can all relate some way or another.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter how old you are, how you grew up. We all share certain similarities in different ways, which is super important. And that's what we're having conversations with amigas. Like, when you were little and the señoras would eat their café and pan at the parties.
Your cafecito.
It's like that right now. Cafecito con pan con las amigas.
Yeah.
We want it to feel like home.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully our content was relatable. Hopefully you saw a little bit of yourself in us. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Please follow. We will have new episodes every 2 weeks. We really appreciate you guys watching.
Thank you, whoever's watching right now. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Besos y hugs.
Same.
Really, really appreciate. Do whatever you want, whatever your soul and heart desires. Comment, like, subscribe. We would really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
Besos y hugs.
Besos.
The Spanglish.
Oh, we should have said that.